Morning. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everybody. My name is Valinda Calonica Rosidi, and let me present my research with title Relationship of Community Readiness to Use ICT, Participation in the Use of Technology Towards the Achievement of Effective Public Services Study on the Use of ULAS in Banjarsari District, Surakarta City. Next, background of the research. The first one, starting from the idea obtained in Presidential Instruction Number 3 of 2003, that through bureaucratic changes to digital can increase the use of ICT to get rid of bureaucratic organizational boundaries. In Angelido's research to 2015, easy access opens a space for interaction between the government and the community. This is the main key to achieving effective public services. Second, the adoption of technology in government is driven by the high number of internet users. Quoted from the date report written by Simon Kemp in 2021, the number of internet users in Indonesia is dominated by Gen Z and millennials. It's 8 till 39 years old. This is according to research conducted by TS 2016 and Saleh 2015, which raises gaps based on age, gender, occupation, and education, even though all public services are turning to digital. In the Republic of Indonesia Law number 25 of 2009, it is written that every citizen is obligated to participation in public services. To encourage participation, there must be easy access. Easy of accessibility is a sign of the effectiveness of public services. The transition to digital-based public services requires the government to be responsive. The Surakarta government's step to respond to this transformation is by creating ULAS, namely the Surakarta Complaints Service Unit, which is a public service in the form of online-based complaint services. It is from the background that researchers are interested in examining the relationship between community readiness utilizing ICT, participation in the use of technology towards achievement of effective public services. The following is the formulation of the problem according to the impressions. And then literature review, there are three variables used. The variable of community readiness to use ICT is related to the participation variable in the use of technology with thumb theory analysis, which states that readiness to use and acceptance of technology is influenced by two constructs, namely perceived ease of use and perceived usefulness. If technology is easy to use and makes work easier, then the technology will be used. These two constructs influence the intention and behavior to use technology, which is reflected in participation. Then, on the participation variable, the use of technology has a relationship with the variable of achieving effective public services. With an analysis of the theory of participation, that high participation is indicated by satisfaction with the technology used, so that there is consistency in using technology that supports the achievement of effective public services. The higher the involvement in decision making, the higher the satisfaction with the decision taken. And next up is the method. The first one, the research location is in Banjarsari district and the focus is on the ULAS feature application. Second, this type of research uses a qualitative approach with the type of research explanatory research. Population use 230 people and the sample use random sampling with 83 people. Data collection techniques with online questionnaires via Google Form and the data analysis techniques uses product moment correlation, partial product moment correlation, and multiple correlation to measure the close relationship between the variable studies. And then the research result. The following research results have been presented in the form of a pie chart. It is shown that the three variables have a high frequency technology, and the following are the results of data that have been processed by correlation analysis. Namely, research results show, number one, there is a relationship between community readiness to use ICT with participation in the use of technology. A correlation coefficient of 0.727 is found, which is categorized as strong. Number two, there is a relationship between community readiness to use ICT with the achievement of effective public services. It is found that the correlation coefficient is 0.523, which is categorized as moderate. The third, there is a relationship between participation in the use of technology with the achievement of effective public services, found a correlation coefficient of 0.581, categorized as moderate. The fourth, there is a relationship between the variables of community readiness to use ICT with the variables of achieving effective public services through participation in the use of technology. It is found that the correlation coefficient is 0.211, which is categorized as low. Fifth, there is a joint relationship between the variables of community readiness to use ICT, participation in the use of technology, and the achievement of effective public services, having a correlation coefficient of 0.581, which is categorized as medium. And here is the discussion. The first one, the relationship between the variables of community readiness to use ICT with participation in the use of technology is in accordance with thumb theory, which states that the construct of perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use effect intention and behavior in using technology. Two, the relationship between the participation variable in the using of technology and the achievement of effective public services. This result is in accordance with the theory of participation, which states the public participation is effective in improving public services. Three, the relationship between the variables of community readiness to use ICT with the achievement of effective public services, in accordance with thumb theory, which states that perceived ease of use and perceived usefulness affect the attitude of acceptance of technology that makes work effective. Fourth, the relationship between the variables of technology readiness to utilize ICT and the achievement of effective public services through participation in the use of technology. This is in the accordance with the participation technology, which states that involvement in the decision making that leads to satisfaction with the decision makes the mistake to using the technology. Fifth, the relationship between the variables of community readiness to use ICT, participation in the use of technology, and the achievement of effective public services together is in accordance with the statement of Fred Davis in thumb theory and Everett Rogers in participation theory that readiness to use ICT supported by ease of use and usefulness in completing work affects participation in the use of technology. High participation in decision making will increase satisfaction with the decision taken, so that the use of ULAS becomes steady, and regularity of the using ULAS creates effective public services. The last one is the conclusion. First, the variable level of community readiness to utilize ICT, the variable of achieving effective public services, and the variable of participation in the use of technology lies in the high category degree. Second, there is a relationship between the variable of community readiness to use ICT with the variable of participation in the use of technology. Third, there is a relationship between the variable of community readiness to use ICT with the variable of achieving effective public services. Fourth, there is a relationship between the variable of participation in the use of technology with the variable of achieving effective public services. Fifth, there is a relationship between the variables of community readiness to use ICT with the variable of achieving effective public services through the variable of participation in the use of technology, which means the relationship is impure. Sixth, there is a joint relationship between the variable of community readiness to use ICT, the variable of achieving effective public services, and the variable of participation in the use of technology. And the recommendation I can give are the first one, for Governor of Surakarta, notification is needed so that the complainant can know the complaint submitted has been responded to by the government. And the second, for the other researchers, there is a need for further research that is still related to the variables in the study. And thank you so much.